Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Hakuoki Kyoto wins in Iba's route. Although we just had a nice touching scene at the end of the last part with Hijikata. The fuck. And we got his glorious CG. But anyway, so that was that. Anyway, December 1866. Okay, now we're skipping because we're at the end of chapter 3. We're getting a lot of hidden scenes in this one with Iba. It's nice. I like this. He's got more scenes than some of the other guys, literally. I mean, he's just kind of like a side ad, but... January 1867. Another New Year was celebrated as the chilly Kyoto frost covered the city. I had to weave in and out of the mass of people so that I wouldn't be left behind. Even out here, there are so many people. Well, it is New Year's after all. There's so many people who are doing their rounds and paying their respects for the new year. Actually, it seems like most of these people are using that as an excuse to get drunk, like those three. Well, like I said, it's New Year's. It's well and good once in a while. We'd been heading back from performing our New Year's greetings. Nagakura, Harada, and Heisuke had come with us at the start, but they claimed they wanted to drop by somewhere, so sometime during the middle of it, they split ways. Just as Okita had been claiming, I'm sure they're out drinking. But why are we going to a temple that's so far away to do our New Year's prayers? Our headquarters is at Nishi Hangwanji Temple. Couldn't we have done it there? Ah, yes, but I figured since it was New Year's, I wanted to pay my respect to the Kyoto temples that have always taken care of us. See, just gotta do your rounds and work the crowds at a time like this. Well, I guess you probably wouldn't get it. Oh. As we continued talking, we were walking between the crowds of people. I had bumped into a person who was walking by, and it didn't end there. The passers-by who bumped into me had dropped their bag, and their coins scattered across the floor. I'm so sorry. I'll help you pick it up. It was difficult picking up each individual coin as people were pacing all around us, but this is everything, right? I'm really sorry about that. I was able to pick everything up, and I stood up. Huh? I noticed that Kondo and Okita were nowhere to be found. I felt myself turning white. What should I do? The worst-case scenario swirled repeatedly around in my head, and I froze from nervousness. Maybe I should head back to where a lot of people are congregating. If I hang around here for too long, I may have a run-in with someone unsightly, or a Ronin. Just as the thought had entered my mind... Spacey? I heard a familiar voice, and I rushed to turn and find where it was coming from. Iba? There stood... Iba, what are you doing here? I could ask the same of you. What are you doing here alone? Where are the Shinzengumi men? Well... I felt so relieved to see someone I knew again, and I explained to him what had just happened. I see. Then I have no problem escorting you back to the headquarters to help explain the situation. Are you sure? Of course. I mean, we could always say that I found you and that I insisted on hanging out with you or something. I don't think I could ask you to do such a thing. But still, thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Anyway, let's walk back to the compounds. Nishi Hangwanji is that way, I think. Okay. I was so very grateful for Iba's kindness, and I began walking with him back. But... Iba? I don't think this is the direction towards the Nishi Hangwanji. We're taking the scenic route. Don't worry. I have no intentions of abducting you. All right, but where... That's a surprise. No matter how many times I had asked him, he dodged the question. Eventually, we'd arrived at... This is so delicious! I was eating the treat he'd offered me, and I could feel its sweetness sticking through my mouth. Supposedly, it had originated in a Western country, and it was soft, spongy, and rich with egg flavor. I never tasted such a thing. I was so happy. Couldn't hide my elation, and I had a wide smile. How is it, Spacey? How does their castella taste? Oh my gosh, it's so delicious! I'm glad. I've always wanted you to try some. How adorable. Iba looked even happier than I was, and he had a wide-eyed grin as we sat together. As I savored the castella, I know that's so not, I don't think that's how you say it, but whatever. I calmed down and asked Iba something I'd been curious about. Her giant frickin' eyes. But why did you bring me here? I think we could have headed to the compounds from there, but it feels like we took a longer route. Iba looked at me like I'd stumbled upon his birthday celebration, eager for me to join in. Can't I just enjoy the pleasure of having a moment with you to take a stroll and enjoy a fine snack? Well, I didn't think Hijikata would have been strict toward Iba's desires, but I wondered, was it really alright to do so? Especially when you were like worried that they think you ran away. I mean, he was going to take me back to the compounds no matter what, so I couldn't really insist on hurrying, but it'll be quite alright. If they make a mention of it, we'll make sure that they know it's all my fault. As Iba was speaking, something crossed my mind. Now that I think of it, didn't you try and take me out like this before? In a period where I'd become depressed, the lack of clues surrounding my father's whereabouts. Iba had asked Inoue about taking me out in order to get my mind off the situation, which seems like days ago, but it was years. Ah, yes, that's right, isn't it? But you turned me down back then. But this time you were able to enjoy some delicious sweets with me. I guess I can take this as us taking the next step, eh? What next step? Was he being completely serious? Ahem. Yeah, he is like, you turned me down, but now you're mine, right? And she's like, what now? So anyway, how are things? How's Hijikata? I love him. He's my bro. Bromance. Anyway. So how have the compounds been recently? How's Toshi? Oh, let's see. Hijikata is just his usual self, I suppose. By next step, I assume he meant maybe in terms of our relationship growing a bit. Sort of threw me off at first, almost as if my heart had skipped a beat. We'd finished our tea, and then we caught up with one another's recent activities. Although I didn't quite remember all of the details myself, maybe our kinship came from the fact that we'd befriended each other as children. But nonetheless, Iba had an ear for listening, and I found it incredibly easy to speak with him. So many scenes with Iba. After we'd left the cafe, Iba led me back to the lively Shimabara Street. Oh, yes. What's the matter? I hesitated to speak up out of fear for ruining the moment we were having. However, I felt like he deserved to know. Oh, supposedly, Takeda's quitting the Shinsengumi. As soon as I'd mentioned Takeda's name, Iba's expression turned dubious. He is? Yes, according to the story, he received a message from his hometown, and he decided to return home. Iba gazed suspiciously at the ground before muttering out loud. Okay, so this is after... No, this is before Ito leaves. Ito leaves in the next chapter. I wonder if that's true. What? Well, if he's really returning home as he says, then it's fine, but I wonder how much truth there is to it. Now that he mentioned it, there wasn't any real proof that Takeda was speaking the truth. It seemed as though he had gradually lost his place in the Shinsengumi. It wouldn't surprise me if this was all a lie to get himself out of the Shinsengumi. Maybe even noticed me thinking deeply. He then shifted his tone to a light-hearted one. Well, even if he's plotting something, I don't see Toshi letting that go unnoticed. You're right. I'm sure Hijikata knows well of Takeda's current situation. If Takeda really was plotting something bad, then Hijikata likely already had some countermeasures planned in advance. Just then, hey! Is that you, Spacey? That voice. Oh, hey! Is that you, Spacey? It's Sen. Okay, I thought it was one of our bros. Because they're here drinking, right? It really is you, Spacey. What are you doing here? If you're going to visit Shimabara, why didn't you get in contact with me? Sen noticed Iba beside me, and for a second her eyes grew wide. Then she whispered to me, Hello, who do we have here? He's so gorgeous he could be an actor. Are you on a date? Date? No, it's nothing like that. Aw, you're not? But he's not a Shinsengumi warrior either, right? I've yet to see a warrior of the Shinsengumi that is as refined as he is. Refined? I wasn't sure how to introduce Iba to her. So his name is Iba. He's a Hadamoto of the Shogunate. He's known the men of the Shinsengumi for a long time. Well, her introduction isn't wrong. For some reason, Iba looked a little sad. Then he turned to Sen. Oh, because he loved you. Spacey, you're so stupid. He's like, this is a date. I was trying to worm a date, and you just don't get it. Like, take our relationship to the next level. And you're like, what do you mean? So how's Hichikata? Hello? That's because you changed the subject. We were like, what are you talking about? I'm the Okuzume of the Shogun, Hachiro Iba. I've been her friend since childhood as well. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Sen. As you can tell, I'm a friend of hers. Anyways, are you an actual Okuzume? Okuzume? Is it alright for you to be walking around like this, casually, despite your status? Well, technically I'm also overseeing Kyoto. Although this is strictly personal. I see. She looks angry. Sen muttered and then stared at Iba. I stared back at her as she stood with intensity. Had Iba said something that bothered her? I was wondering what she was doing with someone who wasn't part of the Shinsengumi. Wondering why, to myself, she was with you, but for now at least, you do not seem to be someone who'll do her harm. To this, I am relieved. After a moment, Sen turned to face and speak with me. This is before they attack us, so before she admits to us. So, how have you been lately? Have the men of the Shinsengumi been causing you trouble? No, nothing like that. But then I stopped myself. Of course the men wouldn't be bullying me, but speaking apart from myself, the Shinsengumi had not been doing too well. Because of the second Choshu expedition's failure, the Choshu had been steadily gaining more and more power. Additionally, the Satsuma had been active, moving to a degree that was necessary to set off Shinsengumi scouts with rumors floating about their suspicious acts. And finally, a new shogun had been appointed after nearly half a year passing since the death of the previous late shogun. Even with the Shinsengumi, it seemed as if Ito's faction was causing friction and trouble among the other warriors. To top it off, Takeda was leaving the Shinsengumi. There were just so many seeds of worry. I couldn't bring myself to tell her that everything seemed to be falling apart. As I stood there, Iba put his hands on my shoulder. Everything will be alright. I'm here in Kyoto for you as well. So if anything were to happen, you could speak to me at any time. I do intend on keeping my promise of being strong enough to protect you. In which you are. Iba, he was always beaming with courteousness. Thanks to his words of assurance, I could feel my worries melt into the soft of his hands on my back. However, Sen looked at him sharply, almost as if she were glaring at him. Do you really mean that? Sen? I could sense something was off from the vigor of her attitude, so I couldn't help but turn around and look at her after she asked that. Sen burrowed her eyes deep into Iba, speaking with confidence. The fate she carries holds a lot more weight than she even knows. And those who are after her are way more powerful than you could ever imagine. For a moment, Iba gazed deeply into her eyes, and he didn't break his stare in return. Sen, was it? What do you know? I can't answer that. All I want to do is ask you one thing. Can you really protect her? Spacey, that is. Neither looked willing to budge from their stares. I was going to say stances, but stares. Eventually, Iba broke the silence. There's a reason for me to protect her. His bright, clear eyes suddenly faced me. Even if you don't remember it. Huh? I didn't quite understand what he meant by that at first, and all I could do was blink. Oh my god, were we betrothed to him? He's actually a demon too? What did he mean? What are Iba and Sen even talking about? Right? Because Sen hasn't told us about that she's a demon princess too. Sen eventually softened up a little. I see. Just don't forget what promise you made just now. As long as you two vow to keep your promise, I too shall help you. Sen? I rushed to butt in, but she turned, walking off into the cold evening without so much as a word. With what in the world is going on? Iba and Sen seem to be talking about me, but we're gonna have to add that into like the drinking game, right? Or like the Spacey bingo, Spacey go, mysterious destiny, where everybody seems to know but you. Blah blah blah. What are you talking about me? God damn it, tell me! Without the total context of their conversation, the key words that struck out to me were reason to protect me. I timidly approached him and he turned around. You just said that there was a reason for you to protect me. What did you mean by that? I've no reason for you to... Of course, we were childhood friends, but I don't think that's enough of an excuse for him to risk his life to protect me. But Iba... Aw. I do have a reason. There's a reason enough for me that I would be willing to risk everything I am to protect you. What? He said it without hesitation, and I was at a loss for words. Is it because we're childhood friends? For a brief second, Iba's eyes were forlorn. That's because he loves you. Do you think that's all? I was sure that wasn't the only reason. Even if he was a samurai, putting one's life on the line to protect someone meant the biggest sacrifice one could make. That went for the shogunate, one's master, or anything close to this power dynamic to justify it. But a friendship formed during one's childhood shouldn't be enough reason to devote one's life to their friend's protection. So why? I don't know. If there's other reasons, please tell me. Iba looked like he thought about it for a second, and then, I won't tell you. Why don't you think on it? Huh? What? Iba had normally been so kind, but today his mood wasn't as nice. It took me by surprise. I don't think it's that his mood isn't nice. Because he is being nice. He's just not telling you what you want to know because he's like, why don't you think about that? Like, Spacey, think about it. Because he obviously has feelings for you. Well, what do you mean you won't tell me? It's not fair for you to constantly make me wait like you do. Besides, one could say it's deserved, a little payback if you will, for not remembering our childhood, right? I was caught completely off guard, but Iba just began to laugh. Well, never mind. Maybe we should head out. I'd like to spend more time with you, but I'm sure it'll be an issue if you come back late. Wait, Iba! We can't help it that we have no memory. It's kind of mean. Iba escorted me back to the main street, but he's obviously hurt. So he's lashing out. This is what they all do. Well, this is why Okita was made to you. Well, because he was hurt, and then you're hurt, so you're taking it on me. So now you're pulling an Okita. The large crowds of people from earlier had died down significantly. Oh, look, Spacey, over there. Huh? I was looking in the direction that Iba was mentioning me towards when... Yukamura! Kondo, Okita! Oh, I'm so glad. We lost sight of you, so we thought you were abducted by one of those demons. Ah, how boring. I wanted to see you freak out from being separated from us. Well, that's unfortunate. Okita glared coolly at Iba. So, they got Okuzume finding lost children now. Or are you so bored that you go looking for them? Hey, Iba! A person had weaved through a small gathering of people to approach us. Oh, it's his friend. This person is... that dude. Oh, Motoyama, what's the matter? You seem to be out of breath. Don't give me that! Do you have any clue how long I spent running around looking for you? Quite a while, I assume. Don't act like it's nothing. Ugh, the minute you saw a person that resembled Yukamura, you just ran off. As soon as those words were said, Okita smirked. Is that so? The minute he saw this kid, huh? What's going on there, eh, Eva? Hey, Eva, what's up? Oh, Iba attempted to stand straight and act with decorum in response to Okita, but instead he just played it off and turned towards Motoyama. Anyways, we're just doing our rounds to share some New Year's greetings with everyone. What? New Year's greetings? You waste all this time and now you want to do greetings? Well, let's be off. Excuse us, Kondo, Okita. We'll drop by the compounds another day. Iba grabbed the tired Motoyama and disappeared into the crowd of people. He didn't even say goodbye to me. I see. I can't tell if this was scripted or not. Iba's a sharp cat. Huh? I wasn't sure what Okita was trying to get at, but either way, I was happy I was able to see Iba on New Year's. There's so much to be concerned about, but I hope we'll have a good year this time. I mean, he's just really leaving it in the winds. Like, I've been in love with you for God knows how long and blah, 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 and I have feelings for you, but I'm leaving you with a bunch of other men that you could potentially fall in love with and then wonder why you don't want to fall in love with me. Jesus, Iba, just... That's why you gotta tell a girl that you love her. Okita. He's like, Iba loves you. Go after Kaoru. evil guy stabbed us. I'm fine. Ichikata. Seriously, what the hell? Oh my god, Simon's alive. You know what? I'm leaving. I'm out. I can't handle this. And who are we worried about? We're worried about Iba. He's not one of the choices. We're worried about the soldiers. So we go. Oh, someone high-ranking. We're gonna go talk to Hichikata. It's the first time. The heads of the Shinsengumi seemed like the best people to ask, but they were all still talking in the common room. Perhaps I should wait a bit until they were done. Almost as if on cue, Hichikata appeared in the hallway. Literally, he just slid the fuck out. Oh, hello, Hichikata. Shouldn't you be resting? Oh, I feel a lot better now. Your dad's a doctor and you know a little bit about medicine, but that doesn't mean you're invulnerable. Kinda am. Go back to your room and try not to run around too much. Okay, I'll be careful. Oh, shoot. It was easy to forget one suffered a significant injury when it healed almost completely by morning. I'll go right back to my room, but can I ask you something first? What? It's about Ito and the people who are leaving with him. How do you feel about all of that? What do you mean? Well, people who are members of the Shinsengumi won't be. If I were in Hijikata's shoes, I don't think I could sit still. I'd be so stressed. Either that or I'd blame myself. We were allies yesterday, but if our positions change, we can be enemies tomorrow. Besides, he knows Hajime is not really on their side, and he's just like, poor Heisuke. The rest of him, he's probably like, eh. That's life. What about Saito and Heisuke? They had all been captains together. Surely Hijikata saw them as friends, at least. Would Hijikata be able to brand them as enemies just because of their change in allegiance? Saito and Toto. It's going to be rough to lose a pair of skilled swordsmen, yes. But think about the future. If they're leaving, they had some problem with the Shinsengumi. Better they leave now than later when the problems get worse. How could he be so cold and analytical about his friends? Yet he made sense. If Ito and company were leaving because they were incompatible with the Shinsengumi, then perhaps it was for the best. But it was the best thing for the future of the Shinsengumi, was the best thing for the future of the Shinsengumi, also the best thing for Hijikata. I couldn't understand. After some time had passed... Oh! As I walked through a hallway, I stopped to notice something. I wonder how they landed all the way in here. Maybe they got stuck in someone's sandal. It was a time of the year in which, no matter how often I had cleaned, the spring winds seemed to invite an endless flow of blossom petals. Watching the blossom petals that were scattered across the floor without a hint of their scent, I couldn't help but remember the ache of the goodbye shared all those days ago. How was Heisuke doing? Eating meals without him was so much more quiet. It was almost as if the lanterns were out. I wonder how Saito had been doing too. First, I'd found him a little intimidating because he didn't speak often, but after spending some time with him, I'd learned that he actually cares for everyone's well-being, and he'd shown me bouts of tender kindness. I know, right? He was a really hard one. I took for granted the fact that these men were not always going to be here. I had no idea that it would feel so lonely without them. I shook my head, stopping myself. I can't be thinking like this. There was no doubt in my mind that the other warriors had been feeling even more sadness than I was. I thought to myself that perhaps occupying my time with cleaning the compounds would put my mind at ease. It was good to start with the common room. I slid the door open casually, but then I froze upon seeing the person standing on the other side. The reason being that it was... Oh, it's you, Yukimura. Takeda? My heart was startled by the creepiness of his expression. Iba had suggested to me that it was best not to find myself alone with Takeda, if at all possible. He was going to leave the Shinsengumi soon, so I didn't think he would have been in the habit of starting any conflicts on his way out, but I found him antagonistic time and time again, so I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable around him. I'd be like, excuse me, I was going to clean, but you don't have to keep your guard up, you know. I'm not a Shinsengumi captain anymore, so I don't plan on doing anything to you. Couldn't really take him up on his word, but it wasn't like I could just pretend he doesn't exist, so I asked him a question while keeping my wits about me. What are you doing here, Takeda? Well, figured that this will be the last time I see any of this stuff, so I was just standing here to soak in all the memories I've made. He looked around the compounds with a somber face, his eyes scanning slowly. That seems so kind of... Don't you feel sad for him all of a sudden? I'm just looking in the memories. And you're like, I didn't think you had a heart to want to hold memories. I think it was spring, too, when we'd moved to the Nishi Hongwanji temple. Back then, I never anticipated myself leaving the Shinsengumi. Takeda looked close to tears, lost in faint memory. Since there were many times that I'd had trouble with him, I'd mixed feelings about his departure. But to his credit, I knew that when he came to Kyoto, he did so with a head full of dreams about the future. Suddenly, I felt the way I did when Saito and Heisuke left as well. It was a melancholic feeling to part with people who work beside you day in and day out, even though he's an asshole, right? Because he's pretty. As I noticed Takeda's eyes thin, I watched as he moved with uncertainty, pacing as if he truly didn't want to leave before turning to face me. Well, I'll be on my way then. With that said, he marched on as if he was pushing all of his feelings aside for the sake of pride. Even though the room was empty again, I felt stuck, unable to move as I contemplated the moment. As evening came, I was returning to my room after having finished organizing the medicines, as was asked of me by Yamazaki. Normally around this time, one could hear the warriors talking amongst one another happily from the common room. But now that there weren't as many warriors left, compounds were much quieter. Just then, huh? I thought I saw a shadow at the end of the hallway, and I squinted to get a better look. Is that Takeda? He said he was leaving the compounds today. Was he still here? Did he forget something? He was sort of acting suspicious. Takeda seemed to be scanning around, peeking over his shoulder as he tiptoed to make sure his footsteps weren't being heard. His behavior had been very peculiar, if not outright conspicuous, so I hid in the shadows and watched him. He was heading towards the very back of the compounds. Takeda did one final glance to ensure no one had been watching him, and then he disappeared into the room. It was the room in which Sanin performed his research over the Furies in the Water of Life. Only a select few of the Shinsengumi had known about what went on in that room. Takeda, of course, was not one of those select few, so technically he wasn't permitted to be in there. But why? I gulped and I moved to the front of the room. I clicked the door open just a hair and peered in. I would go find someone. Since the sun hadn't completely set yet, I didn't see Sanin in the room. I'd assumed then he was resting in another. From what I could make out, however, Takeda had been ruffling through drawers and reading documents spread across them. After searching for a while, he'd taken a few of the documents and folded them in place inside his kimono. I would say this is enough to cover my reward. You should have told someone. He grinned with satisfaction, then he turned to slowly walk in my direction. Oh no! Shoot, I must hide! I rushed away from the door. Takeda sped out of the room, rushing as if he was trying to make sure he wasn't seen, and then he tried to leave the compounds. Suddenly...
Hello, Takeda? Were you just leaving now?
Inoue, he was stealing documents! Fucking run out and tell him. Inoue approached him, and I could see them exchange a few words. Eventually, they ended their conversation, and Takeda bowed to Inoue before leaving. Oh my god, why, Spacey? Come out and say something! Should have run out and been like, meh! Just a minute. He was stealing shit! I knew something wasn't right, so I rushed over to Inoue. Inoue, what were you just talking about with Takeda just now?
I was just saying goodbye to him. What's wrong?
You see... And I told Inoue what I had just witnessed.
Is all of what you've told me true? What was he trying to do?
I don't know. However, I think we should run after him and find out what he took. Inoue gave me a grim look.
I want to, but unfortunately I twisted my ankle while attending to my rounds earlier.
Your ankle? Oh no. Didn't sound like we would have been able to tell Takeda given Inoue's condition.
We need to tell Toshi what just happened when he returns, and have him deal with it.
I guess that's the only way left, but all of the warriors had been out at the moment, and I didn't know when they would return. I'd known that there were numerous other responsibilities, and that it would be hard to get many people on board to follow after him. Besides, I was sure that Takeda was on high alert for people coming after him, so I could see him being able to leave Kyoto in time before we could deal with him. So all I could do for now was, Inoue, please let the captains know as soon as they return that I'll be running after Takeda to take care of an important matter.
Yukamura!
Inoue was confused, but before he could ask, please, I promise I'll return. With that said, I ran out of the compounds. We can't let him leave with those documents. I think he walked this direction. As the hues of the night sky were growing darker, it was becoming more difficult to distinguish the faces of those passing by. Yamazaki isn't following us still? That would be helpful. Somebody on the guard be following us. I was growing worried that I may lose him completely. But it'll be all right. He had literally just left the compound, so I was sure he couldn't have gotten too far away. Or at least, this is what I'd been telling myself as I began my chase. Eventually, I finally caught sight of him and I began running after him. Takeda, please wait! He didn't stop. Rather, he started to jog, moving more quickly. There was no way he could have heard me. I was starting to lose my breath, but I continued running after him. When he'd finally stopped running, he had been approaching a bridge where I noticed there weren't too many other people around. Couldn't help but notice you rush after me. I'm going to assume this isn't a normal farewell. It seemed like he was under the impression that if we were to speak alone, he would be able to get out of it, so he spoke pompously. Well, I'd become winded from all the running, so my throat burned, and I couldn't string words together well enough to speak. Hold on, however, Takeda didn't seem to notice a thing, and he walked towards me. Or was there something you wanted to ask me? Ask? Instinctively, I started to back up, but he was closing the distance between us. Oh. Stop playing dumb. The Shinsengumi is keeping secrets from everyone, even the captains. And you know that secret, isn't that right? His glare locked with my eyes, and my entire body had started to freeze up. No. I couldn't let him read into my panic. I was doing my best to steady my resolve, and I suppressed my quivering voice. It's not like that. Takeda looked as if he couldn't be convinced, and he continued moving closer to me. There's no point in playing dumb. You're completely useless as a swordsman, and yet you've been appointed to a prestigious position beyond anything you're qualified for. Not only that, but... Ryojin Masumoto, was it? When that doctor visited the compound, he and you shared some peculiar conversations. You definitely know something. Takeda's face was probing me to see if I'd break, and for a second I was almost unable to say anything, but... I have no idea what you're talking about. I turned to face away from him as I said that. I see, you're playing dumb, yet again. Then have you seen these before? Takeda spoke with scorn as he reached into his pocket to grab something. It was the red liquid in the glass vial. He's like pulls out his stuff. Did you see all this? Grab it and run! I grasped, and Takeda smirked as if he'd won. So you do know. You know what the serum is. So Takeda did take something from Sanen's room earlier, and now is right in front of me. If I bring this to Ito's faction, there's no way they'll disrespect me like all of you have. Answer me, Yukimura. What is this stuff? I... Take it back. Oh! Although this document didn't go very much into detail, it did make mention of creatures whose vitality surpassed that of a human's. I tensed up under Takeda's scrutinizing gaze and guarded hostility. If any of that were true, then I'm sure there are many people who'd be interested in it, including both Shogunate and the Satsuma Choshu side. I thought you would join the Shinsengumi because you wanted to protect the Shogunate. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use whatever's in this bottle and sell it to whoever's going to pay me the most. That's when it became clear to me. I can't let this man take possession of the water of life. With this in mind, I used the moment of distraction while he was in the middle of his monologue. I took out my Kodachi and I charged at Takeda. You know what you should have done? She went, what is it? I don't know. Grab him and kiss him. He would really have been shocked because he doesn't know you're a girl. And then you could grab your shit and run because he'd be like, because I think he's angry at you because he's secretly attracted to you. But he thinks you're a boy. What the? Takeda tried to parry my strike, but my movements were just a hair faster because he wasn't expecting it. I suppose he didn't think I'd attack him. My swing had just barely grazed over the chest of his kimono. Damn! How dare you! You ruined my favorite kimono. He'd become visibly frustrated by this, and he swung his sword up to slash downward. I watched as a blinding flash of light reflected from his blade, and it was swinging down towards me. Ah! I tried to block it, but my arm was gashed open and blood spurted over the both of us. Takeda stood above me, wearing a sadistic expression as he smirked gleefully. The gash he just inflicted was slowly, but surely beginning to heal itself already. His face froze in surprise. What the hell? Your arm! I know that I just cut you. I see. So you're one of those Furies or whatever they were calling in those papers. No, I'm a fucking demon, bitch. Punch him in the nuts. He had no intent on listening to me, however, and he grabbed my sleeve and yanked me forward. Oh, yes, this is good. If I show others your healing ability, there'll be no one who could doubt the existence of the Furies. Come with me. I'm gonna use you to make a name for myself. Of course you would, you whore. No! I attempted to get away by pushing his hands, but then... Stop it! What are you doing? I had to know someone was gonna save us. That voice, I was really expecting, like, Yamazaki or Shimada to, like, jump out because they're on the watch. And are they supposed to be watching me? Or, Yamazaki at one point said, you're no longer being watched. But, I don't know, maybe you should have kept watching me and keep me safe. But, Iba, what are you doing here? I visited the compounds earlier and Inoue told me the situation. Takeda upon the sight of Iba looked almost deflated, but his petulance grew once more. Not you again. You like being a killjoy, don't you? Let go of her now or else. Or else what? Her? Yeah. He should be like, let go of her or else. Or else what? Her? Oh. That makes me feel so much better, because obviously, like, I'm being a dick to you because I want to bang you, but, like, I don't know. Thought I was interested in boys. What? They're all in love with me. Shut up. I'll do this. That was not his voice, but anyway. Iba unsheathed his sword with lightning speed as he charged toward Takeda. Oh, rescue me. Ugh. Takeda saw Iba's attack and he parried it before the two began dueling in front of me. Their blades clashed, each swing met with a sizable force powered by seething anger. You can't let him get away! He's got the water of life! A few more slashes were sent relentlessly. God damn you! He's gonna kill him, isn't he? Since Iba's skill was far above the level of Takeda's pedigree, the latter started looking out of breath as he was put into a corner. Oh my god, is this gonna be the first time Iba has ever had to kill someone? Eventually, Iba grabbed my arms and pushed me behind him to protect me from the fray. After peeking behind Iba, Takeda smirked. Spacey Yukimura, I heard there was a secret behind why they kept you around. It's because of your powers, huh? And what is the secret? And what is the secret you're talking about? Having the power to heal your wounds almost immediately. Ito was talking to me about this before, saying that Shinsengumi holds a big secret. I'm sure it all has to do with the research being done in that musty room, right? What are you doing, bird? Bye. Neither Iba nor I answered him, but it seemed like Takeda was already sure of it. He continued to talk without waiting or even caring, for that matter, about our responses. What you doing, buddy? He was like trying to climb down my arm and like, what are you trying to do? Get on my computer? You can't go. It's not for you. Oh, you're cute. What you doing, buddy? So at this rate, the rumors of Sanan being still alive must be true as well. So what's up with the Shinsengumi? What are they hiding? Sword in your chest. Iba seemed unfazed as he responded. You love to let that imagination run wild, don't you? It suits you more to author cheap pamphlet literature than to be a swordsman. You have no intention of admitting the truth, then? Very well. He then pointed his katana towards me, and he asked Iba a question. But now he knows I'm a she. He didn't know I was before. And he just wasn't fazed by that. That's the thing. They never told him. And he's like, now protecting her. He should have been like, wait, she? He should have been more shocked by that. I mean, anyway. Hachiro Iba, why are you protecting her? She's a monster. Iba's eyes thinned with contempt. Shut up. I speak the truth. She's a monster. Just look at her. The wound I inflicted on her arm just a second ago is already healing up. Shut up. Oh, did you not know? Then I'll show you. See for yourself. Then Takeda swung his sword again. No! I screamed, but it wasn't Iba that Takeda was swinging towards. Spacey! Oh. I heard Iba scream and the sound of flesh being sliced apart. Blood had splurted all over all of us. Then suddenly everything went black. Had Iba been hurt? I didn't want to believe it. I slowly cracked my eyes open. No, he killed. Yeah, he's not hurt. Aww. In front of me was Iba. He stood upright with eyes bearing an expression of fury and rage unlike anything I'd ever seen. Dark crimson blood was dripping from his sword, and next to his feet was a detached right arm clutching a blade. Holy shit, he chopped his arm off! What the? Even after seeing it in front of me, my brain was having trouble processing what I was looking at. Yeah. I won't allow you to harm her any further. I sensed what seemed like a near murderous conviction throughout Iba's aura. It wasn't the Iba I'd come to know. Do you still want to fight? Kanryusai. Kanryusai? That's his name? Yeah. Takeda, it'll be more than your right arm next time. You bastard! Takeda was drenched in the blood spurting from where his right forearm used to be. He looked like an Oni straight from hell. Oh, his arm is just missing. Gross. Never before have I swung my sword with the intent to kill someone, but if it's you, I wouldn't have to think twice. Iba's eyes burned with the righteousness, and he kept his blade pointed toward Takeda, who trembled from the loss of his limb and his pride. He's gonna bleed to death. Grr. Takeda's gritted his teeth and slowly backed off. He put his remaining left hand into his chest pocket. The serum! Oh, serum. If I drink it, this injury will be nothing. As he spoke, the bottle of water of life fell to the floor, along with the documents he'd stolen. No, the serum! The serum! He tried to bend down and pick up the bottle, but he slipped. Takeda! I was about to run up to help him, but Iba grabbed my arm as he scurried away indignantly. It's better if you don't get involved, or get too involved. He won't last very long in his condition. It seems like the documents and potions he stole are safe and sound, though. With shaky fingers, I picked up the items and finally was able to breathe. Are you all right? I'm sure that was a little frightening. A little? How's your injury? Let me see it. I couldn't bear to look at him, and I pulled away my arm to prevent him from seeing it. Spacey? There was no way I could look into his eyes, so I kept facing downwards. He thinks that you're ashamed of him because he murdered someone. It's fine. My injury already healed. There's no reason for you to be worried. I didn't want to say it, but just as he said, I'm a monster. Shots for being a monster. This is so reminiscent of like Code Realize, like, I'm a monster! Somebody thinks that they're a monster, unworthy. Sometimes it's us. It's usually them, like the boys. I just couldn't say the last part. I felt myself choke. Where are you going, Bird? Why are you hanging? You're weird. I already know about your powers, that is. Suddenly my eyes widened from hearing it. I looked up. There stood Iba wearing the same kind smile that hadn't changed since we were children. We already know he knows. You know what I mean? Because... Okay. You may not remember this, but when we were little, you showed this to me. How your scars healed. Again, we had this conversation earlier, like a few years ago. At the castle place and with the demons and yeah. Remember? I made you promise me. This power of yours was our little secret, and we made a promise to never show anyone. Oh, with this flashback, the memories that were once dim and stored in some corner of my mind became vibrantly lit once more. That's right. When I was a little girl, I made a promise. One I couldn't tell to any of my other friends. I guess they had to do this because if you didn't get that scene, but you got this one, you know what I mean? But it's still weird when you get them both. But if it was with him, if it was with Hachiro, I knew he was special. I knew I could tell him anything. You're not a monster. You're just you, and you're who I want to protect. You've always been and always will be. Iba, I felt a pang of nostalgia, and at the same time, I felt emotional knowing that I had forgotten about him this whole time. I'm so sorry. Why are you apologizing? Because you remembered me after all of these years, and Iba lightly touched my hair. It's fine. You remembered now. His words radiated with warmth, and his kindness made my heart swell. I noticed that as he ran his fingers through my hair, they trembled a bit. More romance! Because they wrote him in after the fact, but I'm serious. Iba, I looked up at him, and he bit his lip a little. Oh, Kita may have said that my sword was a lifeless one, but this was the first time I'd ever had trouble controlling myself when holding a sword. Ever since Toshi and the men came to Kyoto, this is what they must have felt. To protect someone or something isn't all. There's a flip side to it, a grim reality. I couldn't say anything, so I just hung my head. The person who had brought this realization to Iba was no one else but me. It was my fault. I don't want you to do anything dangerous. I knew that to a warrior, these words were as good as dirt. During the Ikeda Inn incident, the Hamaburi Rebellion, or any other time where the warriors had crossed swords with the demons, I felt this way during all of those battles. But this time, it hit me a little differently. After a moment of silence, Iba spoke up. I want to make all your wishes come true, but this is one thing that I cannot promise. I had a feeling you would say that. All of my life, I realized that I learned the way of the sword so I can protect those dear to me. So if it means I must hurt others, or even take someone's life, I won't regret it. I knew he'd say that too, but even then, you couldn't blame me for making this wish. Please, don't ever let Iba be hurt in battle. Just then...
Hey, Hachiro, Spacey, you guys alright? Come to rescue you guys.
I heard the footsteps of the warriors approaching from afar. I've come to rescue you. Oh, thanks. Why don't we head back to the compounds for now? We have to tell Toshi what happened anyways. Right. There's just an arm. Be like, maybe we should throw that in the river too. After we told our story, the men of the Shinsengumi went searching for Takeda, but unfortunately there were no useful hints. He could have drifted off somewhere along the river or died due to his injury. Or he could have left Kyoto altogether. We couldn't let our guard down, but now that he had one arm, he wouldn't be able to hold his sword. The Shinsengumi concluded that even if he were alive, he would never try to get revenge on the Shinsengumi, so they stopped their search for him. He's probably dead. He fell into a river with one arm that was gushing blood. He probably fucking drowned. And even if he didn't, blood loss. I'm just saying. Looking for a one-armed man. And that's why you learn to sword fight double fisting. Double fist your swords. Okay, so this is when I think Sen comes to visit us. Are you sure? You want to stay here for one of these boys? Well, I don't know why you would ask me that. You know Iba, right? Like, you met him. I'm like, Kimigiku. They're all like, yeah, we all know her real well. Girl. Weird. Huh. We actually say no. No, it's not that, because it's Iba. It's not one of these guys, it's Iba. Go find the others. You don't even know anything! Cool, so we get to trust the Shinsengumi. What was I gonna do? I decided long ago that I would trust them. The men of the Shinsengumi had far more experience and skill than I did. The safest thing for me to do would be to leave the situation to them. My eyes met Harada's. They were calm, confident, and warm. Oh, I know. He's such a sweetie. Even quite literally in the grip of the enemy as I was, his gaze made me feel safe somehow. I would be fine. I've taken care of the men at the gate. Man, this is all way too easy. I guess they're humans at the end of the day. They are humans at the end of the day. Hey, look at that, Kazama! You got her! Let's go! Indeed, the longer we remain, the more likely it becomes that the situation will escalate out of our control. Yeah, you're right. Man, I gotta say, I was expecting at least a little more from the Shinsengumi. His laughter was cut short by Harada's spear. Whoa! Shiranui barely dodged the spear. However, the attack didn't end there. Harada attacked twice, 3 more times, trying to spear Shiranui. Care to repeat that? He's so pretty when he's in fighty stance. Oh, hello, Harada. Don't move, Spacey. As he spoke, his spear shot forward, slipping through the air. How foolish of you. You thought you could defeat me with this? Pay attention. You're fighting me, remember? Out of nowhere, Hijikata appeared, his sword already sweeping down toward Kazama. Maybe you shouldn't have said anything. He's like, look out behind you as you're throwing your sword. You should have just stabbed him and he would have been like, and you would have been like, you should look behind you, by the way. Oh, behind you, by the way. Kazama dodged the strike and intercepted it with his blade. I slumped to the ground as the Shinsengumi's combined attack forced Kazama back. Don't move. Don't look up no matter what. His spear had nearly grazed the top of my head. Bursts of frenetic swordplay filled my senses. Clearly this was no ordinary fighter. It was clear that this was a battle between two insanely powerful men. Human filth. He brushed aside a second blow from Hijikata and a strike from Harada.
You bleed when you're cut, right? So if I chop off your head, I figure you'll die too.
Care to test that?
Yeah, think I do.
Oh, Hijikata, I love you. The sound of steel on steel rang out across the compound. I was surprised that none of the blades were breaking.
I fail to grasp human behavior. Why fight when you know you cannot win?
As he spoke, Amagiri moved toward Kazama, but found Nagakura standing in his path.
Ha ha! You think you've already got a date for tonight?
That's cute.
I would rather not, but you give me no choice, it seems. Duh!
Yeah. Nagakura is so the impact of the group. Like, Nagakura swung his sword as if backed by his entire body, and Amagiri deflected it with his arm.
You're the guy who hurt Heisuke, right? I'm not gonna let you go until I get in at least one good hit for him.
You know what I think is funny? In movies and everything, men are always battling and they're always talking while they do it, and it's like, does that really like save your breath and fight? Like, this is why you bitches can't get anywhere. I'm just kidding. They're always quipping back and forth. It wouldn't be as fun. You just be watching a battle and you're like, okay, I just want some. Could someone make some snide remarks back and forth? I'd feel better about it.
What's the matter? You seem a little tired compared to earlier.
I was just going easy on you since you're barely worth my time.
Harada, you're mine.
I don't know the voice that I gave this guy, but the tip of his gun drifted and weaved, trying to get in a good shot at Harada.
Blow away.
Won't let you. Shiranui lost his balance greatly due to the spear being shot at him. Sorry, man. This close, my spear and your gun are pretty evenly matched.
Oh, Harada, you must really want to get filled with holes.
Don't turn Harada into a fucking thing. No.
Kazama, our enemy is regrouped. What are you going to do?
And then we've had enough fun for one night. We can take her anytime we like. Kazama put his sword away.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure you can take me anytime you like, and yet it's been years, bitch.
There's me, jerk-off motion.
Yeah, okay. I won't let you get away.
Hijikata tried to have another swing at the demons, but Kazama and Amagiri disappear into the night.
Ha! Demon's my ass. I'll bark and no bite.
His arms hung at his side, and the tip of his sword nearly touched the ground. Don't push yourself, Shin. You're short of breath.
You idiot. I'm just playing it up to make the enemies lower their guard. But forget that.
Nagakura glared, and when he looked, there was one demon left, Shiranui.
You're a real kidder, Harada.
Trying to fight me with just that little old spear. Shiranui gave an eerie smirk, and Harada's lip curled up.
Looks like we'll have to settle this at a later date. Hopefully we'll actually be able to finish next time. I want to fight until one of us dies.
And with that, he was gone. The demons disappeared, and finally the compounds fell silent. Was it over? I felt my body go limp as the tension disappeared. You were already laying on the ground. Oh! This should be such a CG we'd get in his scene. That's adorable. He looks a little creepy. Like, the face, like the giant Muppet mouth, really like a half of his face. That's what it looks like. But it's still kind of adorable. He's like, oh, pat. Look, his hand is the size of your head. Oh my god, his hands are huge or you are tiny. I don't know. Maybe both. You okay? You did good. I looked up to find Harada's smiling face in front of my own. Oh, so cute, Pat. He's adorable. I love him. Harada. I stopped. If I said anything more, I was afraid I'd burst into tears, so instead I gave him a shaky smile. With a grin, he tousled my hair, and his touch pushed me over the edge. His mouth is the giant, like a Muppet's. It's way too big, and her eyes are too big. It's kind of funny. Her eyes need to be a little bit smaller, and his mouth needs to not be like... It literally, like, it doesn't it look like a Muppet? Like, I can just flip my head open and, like, completely brush my teeth. Like, I have a flip-top head. That's what it looks like. Oh, Harada. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just sorry I couldn't get to you sooner. No, no. You don't have to act tough. Oh, that's him. I was like, what? You don't have to act tough. There's no way in hell that you wouldn't be scared when a sword fight unfolds right in front of you.
Ah! We just got love points with him.
But thanks. I was able to drive him off thanks to you. What? You see, at the end of the day, men are simple-minded. When they know what girl's watching them, they do everything they can to look cool in front of them. Harada, I think he was saying these kind words so that I didn't feel guilty, but his subtle kindness seeped into my heart. In a time like this, where it feels like things could fall apart at any moment, it's hard to tell what's right and what's wrong, but even then, I think it's undeniably right for a man to want to protect a woman. This would be so romantic if we were on his path, guys! We're gonna have to pause when the CG comes up when we're in his path, because I'm sure this will be it, just so we can read this again. His words reminded me of Heisuke and Saito's sentiments as they left the Shinsengumi. I wonder if their departure had cast some kind of confusion in his heart. A departure for a man who typically never second-guessed himself. But of course, he's strong, and he would never ever show that side of himself. We did our best because of you. I'm not the only one who thinks that. Shinpachi, Kondo, Hijikata, all of us. We were at our best out there because of you. So I don't want you thinking you're making trouble for us or something like that. Thanks, Spacey. With a grin, he tousled my hair, and his touch pushed me over the edge. Thank you, Harada.
That is the cutest fucking moment.
After a while, I calmed down. Harada extended his hand to me, and I got up. All right, you go back to your room. I'll walk you. Huh? But... Come on. Let me do this much, okay? Okay, thank you. He walked me to my room, and I took a rest. It's the middle of the night, so you should.
That's adorable.
In a way, I wish, I knew that we weren't going to get an Iba scene then, because I probably wouldn't have done that until we go down his route. You know what I mean?
Because that was so fucking cute, that scene, guys. So cute.
We might be able to get to the... Oh! This is new. November 1867. We had reached the halfway point in the month, and the weather was growing increasingly harsh as the chill became more frequent. Dusk had come after a short, blustery day. Iba and Motoyama were visiting the compounds. It's awesome, because Motoyama's scary. I've poured some tea for everyone. I tried my best to act with decorum as I handed each person their tea. My, this place is rather large. It's quite a departure from the first headquarters you all used. But I suppose it's not a surprise to see from you. But I suppose it's not a surprise to see from you, Toshi. How are you able to negotiate such a deal with the Nishihangwanji Temple to leave them? Hey, you're making me sound like a con artist. It's simple. They made an offer and we took it. Oh, this is right. We moved out at this point. Okay. Iba and Hijikata both smiled as they spoke. They were like, please fucking leave. We've got lots of land. We'll build you this giant, gorgeous, brand new compound. Just leave us alone. They looked like they were enjoying themselves. Here you go. I placed a cup of tea in front of Motoyama, and he jumped slightly. Thank you. Tea looks delicious. It always seemed like Motoyama acted a little sheepishly, but he managed to smile through it. He's jumpy is what he is, like a fucking Mexican jumping bean.
So, to what pleasure do we owe your company, Iba?
Iba daintily dabbed a napkin on his lips, and then he spoke quietly. How cute. Tap, tap. You see, we've received reports of some Kyoto guards acting belligerently as of late. I'd hope to gather more information if you'd heard anything. Kondo and Hijikata looked at one another, both wearing a bitter expression, and they both sighed heavily. Do you know Ryoma Sakamoto from Tosa? Iba nodded. Supposedly Sakamoto was a charismatic influencer who was active with domains in the western region. The rumors about him even said that he was able to unite the Satsuma and Choshu together.
So is he a bad guy? We're gonna romance the enemy!
I mean, we already knew we were gonna romance Kazama, but damn. Oh, fuck. Hold on. I accidentally jumped up on my thing. And just recently, allegedly, he's played a large role in restoring imperial rule through the Tosa.
From what we can see, he's a person for whom we have a great interest in apprehending, but it's not that easy.
With regards to Sakamoto, the Shinsengumi men had been pursuing him for a while now. I figured we might get a short scene to be able to read. We probably should have ended it before the scene, but whatever. However, due to certain political pressures, he was considered untouchable in various parts of Japan.
Oh, I can touch him. You want to see me touch him? We'll do that, Path, and we'll touch him. However, it seems as though we aren't the only ones interested in Sakamoto. Right? He made fools out of the Mimo Waragumi.
Mimo Waragumi.
Oh my god, that's a mouthful. In their last arrest attempt, so I hear they really have it out for him.
I see. Perhaps that's why the Mirawanagumi... Waragumi. Anyway, I can't. I've been looking rather depleted. He must be quite the popular man. He's really fucking pretty. Have you seen him? He's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this guy knows what he's doing or is just a lucky punk. But Sakamoto is doing a number on the shogunate. He probably won't stop at what he's doing until someone sticks a sword into his gut.
Iba fell silent, concentrating deeply, and then he turned to face Hijikata. Toshi, if you ever learn of Sakamoto's whereabouts, I ask that you alert me with haste. If he's assassinated, there'll be civil unrest. Of that, I'm sure. Even if the Shinsengumi were to warn him, I'm sure he wouldn't listen, so I'll do my best to warn him. Hijikata sighed and continued.
You got a point.
Eventually, Hijikata stood up and he nodded towards Iba and Motoyama.
All right, follow me. I have an idea of where he could be.
All right. Oh, okay. They all stood, Motoyama rushing to get up, and they left the common room. I'd hoped everything would be okay. I was putting away the cups as I turned these thoughts over in my mind. Oh. I had noticed a bag left where Motoyama was sitting. Kondo, look at this.
Did Motoyama leave this behind? If I'm not mistaken, he's just around the gate, so why don't you take it to him?
All right. I rushed and followed in the direction Hijikata went. Here we go. I'm going to end here. You're going to have to... We're going to find them at the entrance and give him back his shit in the next part. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.